welcome to Marvin Gardens October 2020. It's a lovely October day. It's been cloudy and a little bit moist, but other than that, warm and almost summery in its feel. But let's start like we usually do with the herb garden here. Now, last month these were primarily blooming, and now they're getting into the seeding stage. All these little black dots down there are seeds, and poor Coco has been pretty much smothered for the last couple of months, but he doesn't mind it. The volunteer parsley that came up all by itself, it seems to be thriving, and as well as the German winter thyme, which also looks pretty good. I'm thinking I might try to pot some of that and bring it in, see if it does okay inside. Now, if you remember last time, I did have a row of turnips planted here for no particular reason, and you can see that there's some little temporary fencing around there, which I guess I'll explain later. And the chives are still doing just fine, and the basil Asian sweet Thai is also doing fine, although you can tell it's thinning out and aging a bit. And Cassie is, of course, doing fine. She always likes being out here in the garden. You can see lots of leaves on the ground. I've got some drone footage of some fall colors, which are much better than they were last year for whatever reason. And so you'll be seeing that, as well as harvest baskets, because as we look at bed number 1 here, what was carrots are now a vacancy, and but we got a great carrot harvest. We also harvested lots of cabbages that were just ready to be harvested. We only left one small one, which is right there and looks good. We'll be ready to harvest that pretty soon. My cauliflower and broccoli plants look a little bit better than they used to, but there's still not much going on. There's a broccoli head. There's a couple more. Some of them look better than others. And the same with the cauliflower. But that's the reason I came down this side of the bed, was to show you that at least we're going to get one cauliflower out of this. That one looks pretty nice, although it's small. And I still am battling whiteflies, which I think has not helped the situation any. But lots of Brussels sprouts plants. The Brussels sprouts themselves are still harvestable, although they might be a little past their prime, but we'll pull those. And the okra finally pretty much decided that it's kind of had it for this season. As you can see against the bright sky, they are not bushy anymore. There's still some buds and flowers, but any okra that we get out of those will be few and far between, if at all. Then the scarlet runner beans have continued to produce pretty well, although they are also slowing down. And but we've had a pretty good season out of them. I finally, ladies and gentlemen, got myself a trailer full of manure and got it delivered. I delivered it under the solar panels here, where I like to do all my composting. So that's a pretty good load. I think I'm going to want to try to get one more before calling it enough. And I chose a different way to load it into the area back here, going through this this section of fencing here, and you can see that I dug it up a little bit, but the new grass is already coming in, so that's not too bad. Now, here we are at the grow house, which this year was a pumpkin grow house. And we had a total of 7 pumpkins. The 2 biggest ones towards the back are the ones that grew in this grow house. The other 4 that you're looking at all grew out in the asparagus patch. One of which was a pretty good sized one, had a significant rodent damage, so it finally kind of rotted and gave up the ghost. But that's not bad. 6 good sized pumpkins, and the 2 biggest ones worked grew in the grow house, so that means the grow house concept was successful. Now, Cassie is checking out anything that might have fallen down that she might be interested in. These are the Fortex pole beans, and they've been coming in quite nicely. We got quite a few harvested, and we've done some roasting and preserving. And that was the only thing that was actually blooming of the August plantings over in this bed. But now, everything that's supposed to bloom, almost everything that's supposed to bloom, is blooming. You can see all those nice strawberry mix sunflowers coming in. This is borage here, which is edible flowers, but we haven't been eating them as much as, just using them as cut flowers, which we have for all 3 of these, including this, which is calendula. Also supposed to be an edible flower, but I haven't really tried to eat them yet. This is a row of deep purple bunching onions. Pulled a few of those, a few more coming in, and Frankie was just standing in front of the, like I said, I don't remember how this is pronounced, anise hyssop or something like that. It's supposed to be a flower, but I'm wondering what the quote-unquote harvest time is from germination to actual bloom, because they certainly are in no hurry to bloom, as opposed to these lovely little lemon gem marigolds, which are just pretty little flowers that are blooming profusely. I think those are supposed to be edible as well. This row of spinach, I harvested quite a bit of it right after last month's video, and I left several plants because they still were pretty healthy, and they still do look healthy. Deep green leaves. Some of the oldest leaves are turning a little bit yellow, but the spinach did very well in that location for some reason. That brings us to the remaining summer-planted summer squash, and all there is these scallop squash, patty pan, and they're slowing way down. I mean, I've got a fair amount of them, but they're all tiny, and I don't know how many will get full size before we get a frost. And we're 3/4 of the way through October, and a little more than a week away from Halloween, but we still have not had any killing frost. We only had a very light frost the other day. They collected on the windshields and a couple of spots out in the open areas, but nothing in the garden. But the as you can see, the bee balm, which we commented on last time, it's been done for a long time, and as far as blooming goes, And the eggplants are slowing down significantly too. They're still blooming, they're still setting fruit, but the fruit grows very slowly. And the ones that we've pulled recently were kind of small. Now, we are due to harvest whatever is under there soon, because we're going to get hit with the frost pretty quickly, and the leaves you can maybe see are starting to yellow a little bit, so we will want to dig those up pretty soon. And then this was the shaded area that we had for midsummer cold weather crops. I removed the shading, as I mentioned I was going to, except for this one piece of screen here, and the reason is because if you look closely, if I can get this, those are peanut shoots that are trying to get down into the soil to grow peanuts, although they're getting down there awful late to grow anything of significance. Anyway, so I decided not to rip those out of there anyway. This is another row of turnip, and I'll tell you the story about these, the little fencing there. I discovered some turnips being eaten, and I thought maybe I had a rodent problem. But come to find out, it was not a rodent problem. It was a Cassie problem, because Cassie developed a taste for turnips and radishes as well. So I had to go out and get myself this temporary fencing just to keep her out of it. She also, I don't know if I mentioned it, she kind of likes radishes too, but I didn't get any fencing around that little piece. But as you can see, these radishes the turnips are doing pretty well. Probably time to go in there and thin them again. Oh boy, I don't know if you saw that, but Frankie just flushed out a baby rabbit, which is now long gone. But we probably don't need a rabbit in there with the peanuts. So that's a dachshund right there. But good boy, Frankie. Anyway, Cassie is nosing towards one of the few lettuce plants that I got to germinate here in this bed. So now we're on to bed number 4, I believe this is. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is my very last planting of summer squash, and I don't really expect to get anything out of them. It was just like I had the seeds, and just for the sake of having something planted rather than a vacancy in the garden, I planted them there. Right here we have one of the transplanted basil plants, and the purple basil that was a store-bought plant. Barely see it because it's pretty much given up the ghost. And this is another row of parsley. And that's the sundial. Now here's my other turnip bed, basically 5 rows of them, and if I can manage to find a good angle to show you, you can see the little turnips forming. It's they're doing fine, and it's probably time to thin them out, but as you can see, I had to surround the entire area with that temporary fencing because of our turnip loving dachshunds. These are peppers. They're showing a little, or looking a little worse for the wear, I should say, just because it's so late in the season, but they are still all producing, and we don't have a frost in the near future in the 10-day forecast, so we're still letting them go. And especially these Mad Hatters, which have been very prolific. I don't see any red ones right now, but there's lots of them still coming in. And down here, I think I've got to fix this aim on the camera a little bit, is sage actually coming in. And so far it's doing okay. I don't know if we'll get anything usable out of it, but like I said, I was having trouble growing it, so I thought I'd put it into a vacancy here. Here we have the only lettuce that came up from my late summer planting. But the ones that did come up look like they're doing fine. And this is another row of radishes. These are further along and definitely need some thinning, as you can see. And as well as a few radishes here. I did harvest a bunch of those that made it to a good size. And as you may recall from last time, these are leeks, which are still very far from full size, but they got big enough that I hilled up the dirt around them to help blanch the bottom parts of the plants as they grow, and they seem to be kind of growing in a spotty fashion, meaning some of them are tiny as if they just came up, and others are actually getting to look like they might make it, because I don't think these guys are killed by even a hard freeze, so we'll see what happens with them. So let's see. I've kind of been walking around in circles a little bit, but we'll take a quick gander out to the asparagus bed, and it is looking much more aged than it did last month, but it did get nice and bushy, if you remember last month. So it's pretty close to time to get in there to kind of cut everything down and pull out all the weeds and clean up the bed for winter, and especially get rid of all these thorny nettles, or whatever they're called, thistle plants. And the pumpkin vine has still got some green parts to it, but of course we're done with pumpkins, that's for sure. And just to revisit the Sky Manor Marsh, those are my 3 cattails that I managed to have grow, and that's about it. So let me get back in here. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go around and allow you to maybe see some drone footage or something while I take a quick trip to the backyard. And speaking of fall color, that maple tree is getting pretty close, and I'm headed back to the backyard. So here's the big news back here. Oops, wrong way, Peach Fuzz. If you remember, this was just boards and no decking, and our new back deck is coming along very nicely. It's going to be completed in a couple of days, I guess, and you can see where all the construction and work traffic has been. And there's the deck off the kitchen landing, which obviously is still got some work to do, but it's looking very good. So I guess I can say that's the only garden video in which you'll see the deck in that state, because by next time it'll be done. The pond, you can see there's a lot of yellowing going on and fall colors and dying back of things, but other than that it looks pretty good, except for the water's getting a little bit like tea from all the leaves that have fallen in, and that's what happens. It sort of tints the water a little bit, but it's not too bad. And the fish are slowing down in their eating, but that is about it. Well, I guess it. All right, get this closed and get my coat caught in it. All right, so that's going to do it for this month, August. August. You know, old age has strange effects on your mind. This is October 2020. This is Marvin's garden video, and hope you guys are having a great fall. We're about a third of the way into it, and Halloween just around the corner, and all the colder weather and stuff. But right now we're getting a very nice show of fall colors, and we might get more intense even, because as I'm looking around, a lot of the trees are still green. So anyway, hope you guys are having a great fall and a great October, and we'll see you next time, which will be November 2020. Marvin Gardens, October 2020. See you next time. Bye, guys.